In the shadow depths of the world of darkness, there are vampires who refuse to bow. They call themselves the Anarchs, the unbound. Born in the 15th century as a reaction to centuries of feudal tyranny, this movement rejects the notion that a vampire's age grants them the right to rule. They honor the masquerade, but refuse to live as pawns in the games of ancient elders. Their loose alliance draws Brujah, Gangrel, Ministry Scythites, Tsimisi, Caitiff, and Thin-Bloods under a banner of freedom, while clans like the Toreador, Ventru, Tremere, Nosferatu, and Malkavian are branded traitors for siding with the old order. In cities like Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, and Berlin, the Anarch banner has flown proudly for decades. Long before the word Anarch was spoken, rebels chafed against kindred oppression. In the 9th century, the Furores, outlaw bands of exiled children, roamed Europe. Denied support by their elders, they formed cells that struck at mortal authorities and rival vampires. They cared less for lofty ideals and more for raw freedom, embracing terrorism and personal liberty. Though the First Inquisition crushed many Furores, their spirit of defiance lived on among Brujah rabble and later Anarchs. Other rebels dreamed bigger. The Prometheans, or Firebringers, yearned to rebuild Carthage, the fabled utopia where kindred and mortals lived side by side. High clan elders denounced them as treasonous idealists. Forced into hiding, Promethean cells plotted revolutions from the fringes of medieval cities, recruiting criminals and outcasts, led by robber kings who ruled with iron fists. In the 14th century, they rose, but elder reprisals were swift and brutal. Most were destroyed. Some survivors threw in with the Camarilla or Sabbat, yet their ideals of equality and harmony seeded the soil from which the modern Anarch movement would sprout. The first true Anarch revolt erupted in blood and fire when the Inquisition's bonfires burned brightest. Younger vampires were tired of carrying their elders' burdens and resentful of the blood bonds that chained them. The spark was struck by Tyler, once called Patricia of Bolingbroke, a Brujah who dared to assassinate her sire Hardestat the Elder. Her act of amaranth set the Brujah ablaze across Europe. They proclaimed themselves Anarchs and turned on those who had enslaved them. In Italy, Gratiano de Veronese, an Assamite killer, stormed the La Sombra Patriarch's haven and drank his soul. In Eastern Europe, the geomancer Zelios and his fellow rebels assaulted the Tsimisi founder's lair. Though they killed only a decoy, the attack shattered the clan's unity. The revolt spread among the Banu Hakim and Lianan as Zelios built a network of castles and tunnels to bind a demon named Cupola. But the first Anarch revolt lacked a single banner. Without unified leadership, it could not withstand the Elders' wrath or the Sabbat's manipulations. In 1493, the rebels were brought to the Convention of Thorns in Silchester. There, under threat of annihilation, many Anarch leaders agreed to end the violence. They kept their ill-gotten power and swore to uphold 6 traditions, chief among them the Masquerade. Those who refused walked out and later founded the Sabbat. This treaty gave birth to the Camarilla as a global sect and turned most Anarchs into a disgruntled faction within its halls. Young vampires had shown they could defy their elders and survive, but their revolution had been bought off for a time. The centuries that followed were quieter, but no less restless. Anarch sentiment simmered through the French Revolution, the Paris Commune, and May 68 protests. Brujah, Gangrel, and Nosferatu grumbled in the shadows. Many accepted their place in the Camarilla, hoping to change it from within, while others bided their time for the next uprising. That uprising came not in Europe, but in the neon sprawl of Los Angeles. In 1943, Jeremy McNeil, a Brujah immigrant, petitioned Prince Don Sebastian for justice. Spanish Anarchs had been brutalized by the prince's deputies, and McNeil demanded redress. Don Sebastian laughed in his face, then humiliated him with dominate and majesty before beating him senseless. McNeil hid his rage and began to plan. Alongside fellow Brujah firebrand Salvador Garcia, he recruited discontented kindred across the West Coast. In 1944, the Second Anarch Revolt exploded. riots tore through Los Angeles. Targeted assassinations toppled the prince's supporters. When the smoke cleared, Don Sebastian was dead and the Anarch Free State stood in his place. Determined to avoid another compromise, MacNeil convened a revolutionary council. He penned the Status Perfectus, declaring that all vampires are equal and free to govern themselves. Garcia wrote the Anarch Manifesto, calling on kindred everywhere to reject tyranny and embrace self-rule. These documents became holy texts of the Free State, codifying its egalitarian ethos while affirming that anarchs would still uphold the masquerade and shield mortals from flagrant predation. The Free State's existence was precarious. Camarilla princes tried to reclaim Los Angeles or were ill-prepared for the anarchs' guerrilla tactics. In 1965, the Sabbat launched a crusade. In 1998, Kuei Jin from the east invaded. Both were repelled, but the fighting left the Free State fractured into baronies and gangs. Yet the experiment endured. It proved vampires could rule themselves without elders and inspired anarchs worldwide. Key figures emerged from this era. Jeremy MacNeil refused to become a prince. He insisted the Free State remain egalitarian and led by consensus. Salvador Garcia's manifesto became a rallying cry for freedom. Smiling Jack, a notorious Bruja iconoclast rumored to have been a pirate, roamed the Free State as a mentor and mischief maker. He eschewed formal titles, preferring to teach fledgling vampires how to fight the Camarilla while stirring chaos with his potence and celerity. Legends say he even manipulated events that led to the fall of Ventrue Prince Sebastian Lacroix decades later. The modern Anarch movement found renewed strength in the 21st century. Elders vanished en masse, called by a mysterious beckoning to distant battlefields. Human authorities launched a second inquisition, hunting kindred with high-tech weapons. Many Camarilla princes betrayed anarchs to save themselves. In 2012, the Camarilla convened a conclave in Prague to assign blame. The anarchs accused the Camarilla of provoking the hunters by meddling with governments. The Camarilla blamed the anarchs' use of the internet and modern technology. Amidst the squabbling, Bruja Archon Theo Bell stood up, raised a shotgun loaded with dragon's breath, and blew off Hardestat's face. Chaos erupted. Jan Peter Zun and other luminaries died in the melee. The Bruja clan walked out, declaring their allegiance to the Anarch movement. The Camarilla responded by severing ties with Thin Bloods, Kaitif, and Autarkies. Only the Masquerade remained a shared tradition. On that night, the Anarchs finally severed their centuries-long link to the Camarilla and became a truly independent sect. In the night since, the Anarchs have seized opportunity. With elders gone and princes in disarray, they have claimed domains using mortal allies, street gangs, tech networks, and political activism. They have cemented alliances with the Bruja, Gangrel, Ministry Setites, and Semis, while embracing Caitiff and Thin Bloods. They adopt new monikers, Unchained Malkavians, Red Nosferatu, Abstract Toreador, to distance themselves from their Camarilla cousins. They organize into gangs, cells and councils led by barons, emissaries, sweepers, and chameleons. Some baronies resemble democratic communes, others are ruled by charismatic warlords. In some cities, anarchs blend seamlessly into mortal society, running nightclubs and activist groups. In others, they ride in nomadic biker packs, claiming the highways as their own. At the heart of Anarch ideology lie three principles: freedom, equality, and responsibility. They reject the idea that age alone confers authority. Each kindred, they argue, has the right to self-govern and to challenge unjust elders, so long as they protect the Masquerade. Their foundational documents, the Status Perfectus and Anarch Manifesto, declare that vampires must strive not only for their own liberty, but also to shield mortals from overt exploitation. Unlike the Sabbat, the Anarchs do not seek to tear down human civilization. Rather, they often use technology, politics, and protest to reshape it. Today's Anarchs stand at the forefront of the Gehenna War, fighting the Camarilla-Ashira alliance, resisting Sabbat crusades, and defying the Second Inquisition. From the early Furores and Prometheans to the fires of Los Angeles and the gunshots in Prague, Their history is a testament to the power of rebellion. They have shown that even the youngest vampires can topple tyrants and forge new paths. In a world where ancient monsters manipulate the shadows, the Anarchs offer a different dream, a society where a vampire's worth is not measured by the age of their blood, but by the strength of their conviction. Their struggle continues, driven by the belief that the right to determine one's fate is worth any sacrifice.